So hi everybody, it's me, Dave Bresnick, for those of you who don't know me, coming to you in an official capacity this time. I'm coming to you as the head ref of WRC 2025. As some of you may know, there was a singular player who was not permitted to continue in that event. And to kind of not pretend that we don't know who that is, that singular player was Marco Montebelli, who also happens to be the president of the European Mahjong Association. This is a video I really never wanted to make and would never want to make. However, given that it seems there's been a lot of chatter and a lot of gossip about the events surrounding this, I wanted to just get in front of everybody and talk to you all and explain to you exactly what happened in that situation. So, some people have been saying things like, oh, he was thrown out of the event for wearing sunglasses, or oh, this was some kind of targeted action, and I can guarantee you that's not the case. The majority of the events I'm about to discuss are events that happened in public at the event. You can confirm them with people who were present at the event, and the few events that I will discuss that were not in public, I will try to be as appropriate as possible to preserve the privacy of the people involved. Now we can start on the first day of the event. The first day of WRC was the team tournament, and during the first Hanchan of the team tournament, happy to start my stint as head ref, I received two minor issues that I had to deal with on the floor, both of which were calls about a player who was doing something that the other players weren't quite comfortable with. The first of which was resolved immediately and doesn't really need to be discussed in detail, but the second of which was our player here wearing sunglasses at the table. So I went over to them at the table and I informed them that they were not permitted to wear sunglasses at the table, that this was not acceptable within the bounds of the event. They did not particularly like this, but they did comply, and that was the end of it for that game. Everything's okay. In between Game 1 and Game 2, the player in question came to me and they said, I really don't appreciate that call. I don't feel like it's written in the official rules that you can't do this, and I don't think I don't think this is correct. I informed the player very clearly that the dress code for the event did not permit sunglasses. If they had glasses that were prescription glasses that they were required to see, that was obviously going to be acceptable, but fashion glasses or things like sunglasses were not going to be allowed at the event. Now, at this point, in my mind at least, the situation is still pretty much on the rails. There was something a player did that wasn't okay. That's fine. I told them about it. That's fine. The player came to me to voice the fact they didn't appreciate the call, and I'll be honest, that's fine. I think it's entirely okay for a player to voice the fact that they don't appreciate a call. And I also think that it's entirely okay for a player to eventually end up appealing a call if something happens during an event that they don't think is okay. All of these things are good. Where things started going off the rails is when we got to Game 3 of the team tournament. In Game 3 of the team tournament, the player in question was actually up on stage on one of the streaming tables. And it was brought to my attention near the end of the game, which I then visually confirmed, that the player in question was once again wearing their sunglasses, this time on a broadcast table, after being told very clearly this was not permitted. Now, I'll be honest, I was pretty pissed. I was not very happy with this. However, I didn't find out about it until the end of the game, and the players' team had unfortunately been eliminated from the team tournament, so they had no more games to play that day. So at this point, I decided I'm going to file this, and I'm not going to do anything about it right now. We're going to have a conversation. So the rest of the day proceeded without any particular incident. At the end of the day, I conferred with the rest of the staff at WRC, and we decided, what are we going to do about this? What can we possibly do? The conclusion we came to, which was, I guess in many ways, a very Japan-centric solution, was that at the beginning of the next day, we'd make an announcement. We'd tell everybody, to be super clear, sunglasses are not permitted. And secondarily, that if you do not comply with the directions of referees or staff, you will be penalized up to and including expulsion from the event. So, second day begins. We go up on stage, myself and Mr. Moriyama go up on stage. We give this announcement saying very clearly, sunglasses are not permitted. And also, if you don't comply, there can be penalties. At the end of that, literally at the end of that statement, I'm approached by a staff member. The staff member says, the player in question is still wearing their sunglasses. So, in front of the entire room, before the start of Hanchan 1, delaying the televisation of the event, I have to walk all the way down and speak to this player again to explain to them it is not permitted to wear sunglasses. They respond, oh, but the three other people at my table say it's okay. To which I once again responded, it was clearly stated before, and it's been clearly stated now, it is not permitted to wear sunglasses. This caused a 6 to 7 minute delay, which doesn't really sound like that big of a deal, but it is a televised event, and these types of things are not really okay when that's going on. It's also kind of rude to the fellow participants at the event. So after this, we went back, we started the first Tanshan of the day, and that was played through without any particular incident, as was the second. Then lunch. Lunch also kind of happened without incident. However, at the end of the lunch break, the player once again approached me. They said they had something to email me. Now, to my understanding, I thought, okay, maybe they're emailing me a complaint and appeal some kind of document. I said, fine. What they emailed me instead was a PDF file containing what purported to be a prescription from their physician in Italy. And they said, oh, I now have a prescription for my sunglasses. I must wear them. Reading this document, the prescription stated that the player required sunglasses because of acute photosensitivity due to conjunctivitis. Now, just to be super clear for those of you, again, who might not know, conjunctivitis is commonly known as pink eye. It is highly contagious. It is not something you should be participating in an event with. It is a health hazard. So I am now in a position where a player has given me either a legitimate doctor's note that tells me that there is now a health hazard at my event. I now have to go contact everyone they've played with and warn them and figure this out. Or they've given me a fraudulent doctor's note. Both of these outcomes are not particularly acceptable to me. So once again, delaying the beginning of the first game after lunch of game 3 of that day, I have to go and have another conversation with this player, during which they say a variety of things. But the end result is that the note was given to them based on an internet chat they had with their doctor. There was no physical examination performed, and basically they said, no, it's not a big deal, don't worry about it. Gameplay was allowed to proceed for that day, and at the end of the day, I specifically requesting, an aid for communication, spoke with this player, and to be honest, I was mad. And I told them, this is completely outrageous. You cannot do this. If I have to look at you like even one more time, I cannot permit, I will throw you out of this event. And I'll be honest, I was angry. I was angry at how much disruption had happened, and I was pretty angry at how disrespectful this player had been, not just to myself, but to everyone else who was participating with them. After that, there was another more thorough consultation with the rest of the members of staff, and the decision was made based on the pattern of disregard for staff instructions, based on the pattern of escalation, and based on the risks of the event. It was multiple multi-minute delays, it was a potential health hazard, it was all kinds of things that could take an elsewise good event and cause who knows what level of problem, that we would not allow that player to continue forward in the event. So at the beginning of day 3, we pulled the player aside as they were entering the venue, and all of the required parties, so not just myself, but myself and President Moriyama and representatives from WRC and multiple people, informed them that they would not be permitted to continue. They once again voiced they did not think this was a sound decision, but we once again voiced that this is a decision that's been made and they will abide by it. I think it bears mentioning that expulsion from the event is definitely an extreme remedy, and it's something that no one wanted to have happen. Over the course of those 2 days, we being WRC staff, repeatedly conferred amongst ourselves about what we could do to de-escalate the situation, to communicate more clearly, and to find a way for it not to come to that. Unfortunately, while all other participants in the event had no problem complying with the small amount of directions they were given and generally participating in a positive and cooperative manner, this one particular player repeatedly escalated to the point where we really didn't see any other option. It's not something anyone wanted to do, but we came to feel that it was necessary to ensure that the event could continue on schedule and safely for all players. It is a frustrating and unfortunate experience to have to deal with something like this. And again, this is not a video that I ever really wanted to make or that I enjoy making, to be honest. But at the end of the day, given that there's been continued conversation around the issue and given that people are saying all kinds of things about what may or may not have happened, I do think it's specifically important to clear up the nature of this issue. Sunglasses are not the problem. The issue is if you're going to attend an event and you're going to repeatedly disregard the instructions of the staff of that event, up to and including the point of causing all kinds of chaos and havoc with a potential health hazard and a risk to other attendees of the event, you might not be allowed to continue in the event. Once again, this wasn't a video that I wanted to make, and this wasn't a video that I particularly enjoyed making at all. This was an unfortunate incident, and I don't think anyone felt good about the fact that this happened. And that's a shame, because at WRC we work really hard to make sure our events are exciting and positive and a great place for people to be. And frankly, not just us at WRC. All the Mahjong organizers that I've met in my time work really hard to make sure their events are well run, positive, and enjoyable. And the attendees cooperate to make sure the events can be fun for everyone, can be welcoming. I think we have a great community with a really positive spirit. And I think we should just focus on that going forward and make sure that things like this just stay behind us. Again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm available at dave@uspml.com, and I'm happy to comment on anything if there's anything you'd like to bring up. Thank you very much.